everyone, this is Chris Agos. I'm a teacher at Acting Studio Chicago. Lived in Chicago and worked there as an actor for over 20 years before moving to Los Angeles a few years ago. And a shout out to the folks at Acting Studio for asking me to put together this quick little video. They were wondering what my thoughts were on this whole idea of what actors could be doing right now during the slowdown in our business to be ready for when it comes back to some kind of normal. Nobody exactly knows when the business is going to come back or what it's going to look like when it does come back, but we know it will. So I've got 3 things that I think every actor should be thinking about during the break so that they can be ready when everything comes back. You know, I think the first thing we need to take stock of is our isolation. Now, we're all isolating ourselves physically, at least I hope you are. If you stay home, you save a life, right? But I don't think that means you have to isolate yourself digitally. And what I mean by that is now is the time to be reaching out to the people in the business that you have a connection to. If you've been working for a long time, that might be agents or former clients that you've worked for, producers, directors, even casting directors. If you are used to keeping in touch with those people, I would consider keeping in touch with them on a really low-key basis, however you're used to doing that, whether that's by email or on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. This is not the time to try to remain top of mind for those people. You don't want to be in their face because they're trying to figure out what to do with their own business. They're trying to figure out how to work from home. They're not worried about keeping in touch with you. But I do think that you don't want to be completely forgotten in this time of isolation. And the folks that are going to be able to help you and who you will be able to help going forward once we do go back to business, I think you want to reach out to them in a very easygoing way and just say, hey, how's it going? I hope you're staying healthy. Now, if you're a student and you don't have a long work history, keep in touch with your teachers. You know, they've got their ear to the ground. They've got the pulse of what's going on in this business. So feel free to reach out to them and ask them a question here or there. Just keep in touch with people in the industry. And if you're not in class and you don't have a teacher, reach out to me. I think anyone would tell you that I am really easy to find. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and I also have a Facebook page for my book, Acting in Chicago, which, by the way, is right here. If you haven't read it yet, now would be a great time to do that. Send me a note. I'm always happy to reply. So that's my first tip. Make sure you're networking, but not in a cringy, in-your-face kind of way. My second tip is that now is the time for any actor to take advantage of all the incredible free educational opportunities that are being pushed out there now. It used to be that YouTube was the place to go for free education, and that's still largely true. Although I will say that I feel like you have to be careful on YouTube because there's a lot of like acting content, and I don't know that the sources are always that spectacular. So you got to be careful with YouTube. But schools like Acting Studio Chicago, other acting schools in Chicago, and in other big acting markets like Atlanta, New York, LA, Toronto, they are all pushing free educational content. You've never had access to this kind of stuff before, so don't just sit around. Get online and educate yourself as best as possible for free. So we've talked about 2 actionable steps that you can take right now. You can keep in touch with your network in a non-cringy way that's appropriate for the times we're in. And you can also take advantage of all the free education that's being pushed out there by acting schools. But the last thing I have for you is probably, honestly, the most important, and the thing that you should be doing right now. You should have been doing beforehand, but if you haven't, you definitely need to get on it right away. And that is finding a dependable, reliable self-tape solution for yourself. I am really a strong believer in self-taped auditions. I think they're good for actors, but I also see them as the future of casting. I've been beating this drum for a long time, and I fully believe that we will reach a point where almost all first-round casting is going to wind up being self-tape. I do believe that callbacks will always have an in-person component or a virtual meeting component because clients definitely like to still meet people and see them do their thing live before they cast them. But in terms of the first-round auditions, I feel like self-tape is definitely the future. So what does that mean for actors? Well, that means you need to have the equipment to be able to produce reliably and on short notice a good-looking and sounding self-taped audition. And you need to be able to save the file in a file format that makes sense and at a file size that is not too large to send. So this is kind of a complicated thing that a lot of actors are uncomfortable with because we don't necessarily consider ourselves technical people. We're artists. But it's the new reality. It's been the reality for quite some time. And if you've just been sort of skating by with, your buddy's phone or your friend's, self-tape setup that you kind of do here once in a while, don't fall down on this because self-taping is not going anywhere. It's not like it's going to be super duper important overnight, but this event, which is pushing our business in a way that it's never been pushed before, is going to have an impact. And it's my personal opinion that I think that self-taping is going to become more and more important even than it is already. So if you've not done the self-tape thing yet, if you've been putting off a solution, you need to get on it. So if you do nothing else other than the 3 things I mentioned during this downtime, you are going to be very ready for when this business comes back. And believe me, it's going to, and it's going to be a big deal when it does. There's going to be tons of work. And as actors, we don't want to miss out on any of it. We don't want to feel like we're unprepared. You've heard of the phrase, an actor prepares, right? Well, right now, an actor prepares for the business to come back. And that's our job. Look at it that way. So stay safe, stay healthy, educate yourself. Good luck out there, and we'll see you soon.